For decades, Indian Railways was something we lived with, not something we looked up to. It ran, it carried people, and it somehow worked, but nobody really thought of it as modern or futuristic. For most passengers, the relationship with railways was transactional. You planned extra buffer time because delays were common. Old ICF coaches rattled through long journeys. Diesel locomotives dominated large sections of the network. Railways were essential, yes, but rarely aspirational. And then slowly, without too much noise at first, that mindset began to shift. Because while many global rail networks were still stuck in discussions and delays, India quietly got to work under PM Modi, and that work started adding up in ways that are now hard to ignore. So what's actually changed? One of the biggest changes was administrative. Projects that earlier took years just to clear began moving faster because planning, funding, and execution were aligned.
Railways stopped operating in silos. Electrification, manufacturing, safety upgrades, and capacity expansion were all pushed together, not separately.
But a big part of this change shows up on the tracks themselves. Before 2014, electrification progressed unevenly. Large freight corridors and busy passenger routes still depended heavily on diesel, which meant higher operating costs, slower acceleration, and vulnerability to fuel price fluctuations. Between 2019 and 2025, over 33,000 route kilometers were electrified, which means Indian Railways was converting more than 15 route kilometers every single day, not as a one-time push, but as a sustained national effort. This pace matters because electrification is not just about putting up overhead wires. It involves power infrastructure, substations, signaling coordination, and traffic management, all while trains continue running. Maintaining this speed consistently across multiple years reflects execution capacity, not just ambition. Today, with 99.2% of the broad gauge network electrified across 25 states and UTs, India stands second globally in rail electrification, ahead of countries that once set the benchmark. For passengers, this translates into more predictable schedules and better acceleration. For freight, it means higher hauling capacity and lower per ton costs. For the system, it reduces dependence on imported diesel and stabilizes long-term operating expenses, a crucial factor for a network of this size. The push wasn't framed as an environmental effort alone. It came from a very practical need to cut diesel use and make the rail network more predictable and efficient over the long run. Coach production and component manufacturing were expanded deliberately. Instead of relying on limited annual output, railways invested in modernizing factories, standardizing designs, and improving supply chains so production could scale without compromising safety norms. At the same time, Atmanirbhar Bharat began showing up in places people don't always see. Over 42,600 LHB coaches have been manufactured since 2014. In 2025 alone, India produced 4,224 coaches. These are safer, smoother coaches made in India for Indian passengers day after day. For passengers, this shows up in quieter journeys, better braking, improved suspension, and increased confidence at higher speeds, especially on long-distance routes where older coach designs were a limiting factor. And then comes the future taking shape, a record 2.5 lakh crore rupees rail budget. New general coaches, hydrogen-powered trains tested at ICF Chennai, fresh multi-tracking projects adding 574 kilometers of capacity, and new factories like Kazipet preparing for what's next. Multi-tracking projects are critical because congestion, not speed alone, causes delays on high-density routes. Adding lines allows passengers and freight traffic to run independently, improving punctuality and throughput without overloading existing infrastructure. Hydrogen-powered trains are still at a testing stage, but their introduction signals early preparation for non-fossil alternatives on non-electrified or remote routes, a forward-looking move rather than an immediate rollout claim. What makes this moment different? It's the intent. The intent lies in consistency. Budget increased, but so did execution capacity. Projects were not announced once and forgotten. They were followed through year after year, even when results were gradual. Under PM Modi, Indian Railways stopped being treated as a problem to manage and started being treated as a strength to build on. As this work continues in 2026, the next phase becomes visible. New Vande Bharat sleeper train sets are set to enter service, bringing modern, high-speed overnight travel with improved ride quality, advanced safety systems, and speeds of up to 180 km per hour. The last decade focused on fixing fundamentals and expanding capacity. The phase ahead builds on that foundation, pushing forwards higher speeds, better comfort, and more reliable long-distance travel. What has changed most is not just capacity, isn't just technology or budgets, but the approach. Under PM Modi, railways are no longer treated as a system to merely keep running, but as economic infrastructure that supports logistics, manufacturing, mobility, and regional growth.